Welcome back everyone. In today's session, I'm going to give you the line-by-line explanation of Atithi written by Rabindranath Tagore. The story Atithi featured in his short story collection, Golpo Guccho. The short story The Guest describes a free-spirited young lad, Tarapodo. Tarapodo is the protagonist of this story, and what are the characteristic traits of this boy? He is a young adolescent boy, a free-spirited boy, a free soul who refuses to be bound by any of the bonds of society. He does not conform, he does not follow the conventional social norms and regulations because he is free-spirited, he is carefree. He glories in a life in the midst of nature. He loves to enjoy the beauty of bountiful nature, acquiring new experiences and living life on his own terms. He is his own master. He does not like listening to others. He is skillful and adept. He is very efficient and he makes friends easily. He is a friendly boy. He does not have any problem in mixing with people from all sections of the society. Amiable nature of Tarapodo. He is a likable personality. His path crosses that of Motilal Babu. Here the spelling is M-A, but in the text, in the story, you will see that it's M-O. Motilal Babu, a wealthy zamindar. Motilal Babu takes an interest in the young boy and his wife Annapurna looks after him like a son. Somehow, Motilal Babu's daughter Charu starts disliking Tarapodo. There is jealousy and envy in her attitude towards Tarapodo. Where will life take the young boy? This is the question. This story tells us the tale of the eternal journey of a human soul resting at a while and taking a stride to the road at the next probable opportunity. And what else do we have here? Through the interactions between the characters, Tagore explores themes of hospitality, love, longing, sense of belongingness, and the transitory nature of human connections, the short-lived nature of human connections. And this is a complex story and we will deal with the complexities of human relationships here. Let's start the line-by-line explanation now. Atithi Guest, what is the significance of the title? The title is suggestive as well as meaningful and it highlights the central theme and the character of Tarapodo, the protagonist. Atithi is a Sanskrit word and if we translate it into English, it is guest. And in Indian culture, we have this concept of Atithi Devo Bhava. We pay respect to our guests. We treat them respectfully because we consider them to be embodiments of the divine. The title Atithi or guest immediately establishes the theme of hospitality and the role of guests in the story. We have Tarapodo as the guest and we also have Motilal Babu and Annapurna as accommodating, compassionate and warm hosts. The family welcomes Tarapodo with open arms, but Tarapodo stays there for a while and then he goes away. In this way, the title is suggestive of how Tarapodo is just a detached guest in whatever situation he is in. He seems to be the guest metaphorically of this vast universe which he wants to see in its fullest vastness and beauty, its joys and sorrows. He wants to explore the whole world. He wants to move from one place to another. His wanderlust. So associated with the theme of hospitality, we also have the theme of wanderlust, which does not allow Tarapodo to settle down in one place permanently. This is the basic meaning of the title. Motilal Babu, Zamindar of Kathalia, was returning home with his family by boat. One afternoon, he moved the boat, fastened near a riverside market so that their meal could be prepared. They wanted to get their meal prepared, and therefore the Zamindar ordered the boat to be fastened near a riverside market. And Motilal Babu was the Zamindar of Kathalia, an influential man in the village. A Brahmin boy came over and asked, "Where are you going, Babu?" The boy was not more than 15 or 16. Here begins the encounter between Tarapodo and Motilal Babu. "Kathalia," replied Motilal Babu, "could you drop me at Nandigram on the way? A request." Motilal consented, agreed. "What's your name?" he asked. "Tarapodo," said the boy. The fair-skinned boy was beautiful to look at. His smile and his large eyes had the grace of youth. Tarapodo was an adolescent boy, and he was a fair-skinned boy, beautiful to look at. He had an agreeable appearance, a pleasing smile, and his eyes were large and they were youthful. His body, bare except for a stained dhoti, was free of any excess, as if lovingly carved by a sculptor, or as if in a previous life he had been a young sage whose pure religious devotion had removed all grossness, coarseness, perfected him to gleaming, shining or dazzling, Brahminical perfection. "Come and wash Baba." So he had a captivating presence, a charming smile, and a beautiful appearance. And all these features attracted Motilal Babu and his family, his wife, towards Tarapodo right at the beginning. Tarapodo had a favorable impression on Motilal Babu. "Come and wash Baba," said Motilal Babu tenderly. "A kind person, a caring person. You can eat with us." An accommodating host. Motilal's servant was Hindustani. He was not very good at cutting up fish. Tarapodo took over. Without any hesitation, Tarapodo took over the role of a cook. He prepared fish for the family and soon had the dish ready and had cooked some vegetables too with practiced skill. He was a skillful boy. He was a good cook and he cooked the meal for Motilal Babu and his family with practiced skill. Very impressive. And since he was sociable, since he was a friendly boy, he did not hesitate and he cooked for them. He then took a dip in the river and, opening his bundle, produced a clean white garment and a small wooden comb. He sleeked his long hair away from his forehead and down to his neck, adjusted his glistening sacred thread. What is the meaning of glistening? It's shining. And stepped onto the boat as a guest, as an Atithi. Motilal Babu invited him into the cabin. Invited again, accommodating as a host. He welcomed Tarapodo with open arms, greeted him warmly. His wife and his 9-year-old daughter were there, the other characters, and the name of his wife was Annapurna, was tenderly attracted to the boy. Just as I explained a little while ago, what were the qualities that attracted the family towards Tarapodo? And it is mentioned over here that Annapurna was also tenderly attracted to the boy. Everyone, especially Motilal Babu, Annapurna, had a favorable impression of Tarapodo. when she saw him and wondered whose child is he, curious to know who he was. Where has he come from, his whereabouts? How could his mother bear to abandon him? She placed mats for Motilal and the boy to sit on side by side. No discrimination in the household. Motilal Babu was the zamindar and Tarapada was just a stranger. But they did not treat him differently. The boy was not a big eater. Annapurna felt he must be shy and tried to get him to eat this or that. But when he had finished, he would not be tempted to more. He clearly did everything according to his own wishes. He was his own master, but he was not rude, but with such ease that there was nothing assertive about him. He was not at all shy. He did not have an intimidating personality, although he liked to do things according to his own wishes. He was not rude. When everyone had eaten, Annapurna sat him next to her and asked him about his background. She was curious to know about his background. She did not gather much. All she could establish, all the information that she could draw out from the boy was that he had run away from home of his own volition. Again, he was his own master. Willingly, he had run away from home when at the age of 6 or 8, and now he was 15 or 16. Isn't your mother alive? The natural reaction. Perhaps the mother was dead, but no, she is still alive, said Tarapada. Doesn't she love you? Again, a natural reaction, asked Annapurna. Tarapada seemed to find this question peculiar. Why shouldn't she love me? Tarapada's mother loved him very much. He said, laughing. He found it rather funny and strange. Then why did you leave her? Said Annapurna. She has 4 more sons and 3 daughters, said Tarapada in a casual manner. Tarapada was young, so his life story was brief. But the boy was a complete original. He was not like the other boys of his age. So this is the concept of self-actualization. He possesses a character very unusual as compared to his other age mates. Here, Tarapada, through the character of Tarapada, Tagore presents us with a character who is simple, who is natural, and is endowed with lack of artificiality. Tarapada is not artificial. His unconventionality is not external but essential, internal, and spontaneous. He is innocent, he is pure. A complete original. He was his parents' 4th son and was still a baby when his father died. Despite there being so many in the house, Tarapada was the darling of all. Strangely, he did not have a troubled childhood. Everyone at home loved him. He lived a comfortable life at home, and his childhood was filled with good memories about his family members. So, why did he run away? Because of his zest for travel, because of his wanderlust. So much so that his tutor never met him. Everyone would have been appalled if he had. So the tutor also did not beat him. There was no such reason for him to leave. Half-starved boys who constantly stole fruit from trees and were thrashed, beaten by the owners of the trees, they never strayed from the village or their scolding mothers. But this darling of everyone joined a touring jatra troupe and left his village without a thought. Just like that, one day he disappeared. Everyone loved him. So what was the reason? The complexity of human nature. His wanderlust. made him move from one place to another. Search parties went out and he was brought back. His mother pressed him to her breast and drenched him with tears, cried inconsolably. She could not control her tears. His sisters wept too because they also loved him. His elder brother tried to perform his duty as guardian, but he soon abandoned his feeble attempts at discipline. His brother could not control Tarapada because we all know by now he did things according to his own wishes and welcomed him back with open arms. Never mind, he left and he has now returned. Women invited him to their houses, plied him with even greater displays of affection. Plied, offered. But he would not accept ties. Very, very important feature of Tarapado's character. He would not accept ties. He refused to be bound to any ties, even ties of love. His stars had made him a wanderer. His wanderlust, he was a wanderer. He was a traveler in this vast world. If he saw strange boats on the river or a sannyasi from a distant region under the local peepal tree, or if gypsies sat by the river making mats or wicker baskets, these things really attracted Tarapada. His heart would stir with longing to be free. So not just wanderlust, his love for freedom as well, and his desire to explore the outside world. So you must learn all these features of his personality. And after he had run away 2-3 times, family and villagers gave up hope of him. They were unable to control him. So individual freedom versus societal expectations. Tarapada represents individual freedom and the family members represent societal expectation. But Tarapada refused to be tied down, to be confined within the narrow walls of social norms. Again, he joined a Jatra troupe at first, but when the master of the troupe began to treat him almost as a son, so he did not like such ties of love. He felt stifled and he wanted to move away from that place. And the members of the troupe also loved him. Young and old had all fallen for him because of his captivating nature. And even the people in the houses where they performed, especially the women, had begun to make a special fuss of him. One day, without saying a word, again he disappeared. He just left. He did not stay there also, and he could not be found. Tarapada was as very cautious of ties as a young fawn, and was also like a deer in his love of music. Another important feature of his character, his taste for music, his love for music. Here we have simile. He was as wary of ties as a young fawn, a deer, and was also like a deer in his love of music. The songs of the Jatra were what had first tempted him away from home. For your MCQ, melodies sent a trembling through his veins and rhythms made his body swing. Impelled by his passion for music. What is the meaning of impelled? Urged, motivated. It was not long before he had joined a group of Panchali singers. Panchali singers, ballads of gods and goddesses. The leader of the group carefully taught him songs and trained him to recite Panchali by heart. He too began to love him as his own. Again, the ties of love. And we all know how Tarapada runs away from such ties. Like a pet cage bird, Tarapada learnt a few songs, just like a parrot. For example, a simile. And then one morning, he flew away. Just as a bird flies away, flight of a bird is compared to the running away of Tarapodo. So, here we have another feature of Tarapodo's personality. Finally, he joined a troupe of gymnasts. This time, he joined this group. From Joishto to Ashar, a fair toured the district. Jatra troops, Panchali singers, bards, dancers, and stall holders traveled by boat from one side to another. For the second year running, this round of entertainment included a small gymnastics troupe from Calcutta. At first, Tarapodo joined the stall holders. What did he do over there? He sold pan at the fair, but then his natural curiosity drew him to the wonderful skills of the gymnast and he joined their troupe. So he possessed natural curiosity to learn new skills. And we know that he could cook also. So what made him so skillful? His natural curiosity, tendency to learn new things. He had taught himself to play the flute very well. His love for music. During the gymnastic display, he had to play Lucknow Tumris at top speed on the flute. This was his only task. What was his only task? To play Lucknow Tumris at top speed on the flute. MCQ. It was from this troupe that he had most recently absconded, ran away. He had heard that the zamindars at Nandigram had founded on a lavish scale, on a grand scale, an amateur jatra group. Amateur people who indulge in certain activities as a pastime rather than as a profession. So they were not professional jatra group actors, but this troupe was an amateur group. So he tied up his bundle, again headed for the place, meeting Motilal Babu on the way. This was the reason why he was going to Nandigram. Despite these connections with various groups, his nature had not been corrupted by any. He was deep down entirely detached and free. Very, very important. A free soul, and he was also detached. His yearning for freedom, exploration, all these things are necessary. And here we have the theme of innocence and purity. Despite his exposure to the harsh realities of the world, since he was a traveler, he remained untainted by its negative aspects. He displayed innocence, protected from societal norms and prejudices. Tarapodo's pure spirit stands in contrast to the complexities of human nature and serves as a source of fascination and admiration for those around him. He was uncorrupted, pure soul. He used to mix, he used to meet people from all sections of the society. He had a lot of experiences in life. Despite all these things, he did not change. The foul language he had heard, the dreadful sights he had seen had not mixed themselves in his mind because he was always preoccupied with his passion for nature, love for human beings, celebration of humanity, perception of beauty. So, his only aim was to move on. He was like an ever-flowing river, carrying life along it, flowing continuously. They passed him by. He remained unbound by any kind of habit or custom. He swam in the murky waters of the world with pure white wings like a swan. So he was just like a swan, sailing smoothly on the waters of the world. Pure white wings, purity, swan, symbol of purity, Tarapada also symbolized purity and innocence. White wings, alliteration, like a swan, simile, and murky waters of the world. World with all its negative aspects as well as positive aspects. Metaphor. However, many times his curiosity made him dive in. His wings could not be soaked or soiled. Soiled, destroyed. And murky means dirty. So the negative aspects, he had a lot of harsh experiences as well. But these things did not influence him in any way. There was a pure and natural innocence in this runaway boy's expression also. So much so that the worldly wise experienced Motilal Babu invited him in without doubt or question. He did not mistrust him. He welcomed him with open arms because he was experienced enough to notice the purity and natural innocence in Tarapado's expression, and he welcomed him with great tenderness. In the afternoon, the boat set sail. Annapurna continued to ask the boy kind questions about his home and family. He answered laconically. What is the meaning of laconically? Write down in very few words. In very few words he gave answers. He answered laconically and then went out on deck to escape the curious questions of the woman. Tarapada took refuge on the roof of the boat in the shade of the sail. Sloping pastures, flooded jute fields, green rippling late autumn paddy, narrow paths leading from the ghats and villages shaded by encircling foliage came one by one into view. The picturesque landscape, visual imagery. To this water, earth and sky, this movement of life and sound, these varied levels and vast vistas. Varied levels, vast vistas, alliteration to this huge, immovable, mute, unblinking natural world. Mute, why? Because unlike human beings, nature did not try to confine him within narrow limits. Annapurna was not mute. She was curious and she kept on asking questions. But nature was immovable and mute. The boy was intimately linked with nature, his love for nature, his passion for nature. He could not be tied down by human relationships, but he was not threatened or frightened by the unknown. Relationship with the unknown seemed to be the only stable relationship that he was capable of maintaining. Exploring the unexplored seemed to be of exceptional promise to him. He was more drawn towards the unknown than the known. And due to this intimate connection, due to his intimate connection with nature, he longed for personal freedom and he was tempted to a nomadic lifestyle. As he sat, he soon got talking with the helmsman and the oarsmen. Sometimes he took the oars and punted the boat himself. When the helmsman needed a smoke, he would take the tiller. When the sail needed to be turned, he helped skillfully. Here also, he easily mixed with these people. After this, just before dusk, Annapurna called Tarapada and asked, "What do you like to eat at night?" "Whatever I get." Not fussy at all about food. "I don't eat every day." She felt disturbed by this beautiful Brahmin boy's indifference to her hospitality. Very, very important. Indifference to her hospitality. So the concept of hospitality, guest-host relationship. She longed to feed, clothe and give succor to him. Succor, what is the meaning? assistance. He wanted to help him. He wanted to connect to him emotionally, but she could not discover how to please him. She ostentatiously sent her servants to buy milk and sweets. She was indeed a good host, but as a guest, Tarapodo was detached. He did not associate himself with the family emotionally, ostentatiously done in an exaggerated way to grab somebody's attention. But she was unsuccessful in doing that. Tarapodo ate the sweets willingly enough, but he would not touch the milk. Even the taciturn Motilal urged him to drink it, but he simply replied, "I don't like it." 3 days passed. Tarapodo expertly joined in everything, from the cooking and shopping to the sailing of the boat. Anything he saw interested him. So he was very curious. He had this natural curiosity. Any work that he did absorbed him. His sight, his hands and his mind were ever active like nature herself. He was always serene and detached. Again, simile, yet always busy. People usually dwell in a fixed place, but Tarapodo was like a joyous wave. Again, simile, a joyous wave, uncontrollable, untamable on life's unending stream. Metaphor, life is like an unending stream, always on the flow, moving from one place to another. Past or future meant nothing. Moving forward was the only thing that mattered. His philosophy of life, a nomadic lifestyle. By mixing with various groups, he had learnt all sorts of delightful accomplishments. Delightful, pleasant accomplishments, achievements. Things were stamped on his mind with astonishing ease, unclouded as it was by any kind of worry. A carefree, happy-go-lucky kind of existence. He knew Pachali, folk tales, kirtan, long poems from yatras. Motilal Babu habitually read the Ramayana to his wife and daughter. One evening, he had just got to the story of Kush and love when Tarapodo, unable to restrain himself, unable to control himself, came down from the roof of the boat and said, "Put the book away, I know a song about Kush and love. Listen." He began a Panchali. The verse, sweet as a flute, very important again. Sweet, melodious verse, sweet as a flute, simile, flowed on swiftly. The helmsman and the oarsmen came and peered through the door of the cabin. Everyone listened to Tarapodo with rapt attention. As dusk fell, a stream of laughter, pathos and music spread through the evening air. So, the evening was well spent. The banks became alert and people in passing boats were lured for a moment and strained their ears to listen. The impact of Tarapodo on people around him. When the Panchali had finished, everyone sighed deeply, wishing it would last forever. The tearful Annapurna longed to take the boy and press him to her breast, hug him, and bury her face in his hair, love him. Motilal, motherly affection, compassion. Motilal Babu thought, if I could somehow keep this boy, he would make up for my having no son. So, he was also very impressed with Tarapodo. The little girl Charu Shoshi, though, was full of envy and jealousy. Tarapodo suddenly came to the household and he was the center of attraction. And this 9-year-old girl was filled with jealousy and she was full of envy. Another theme. As Tarapodo becomes the center of attention and gets affection from the family, Charu Shoshi's jealousy intensifies. And what is the effect of this? We will soon see. Why is it so? Complexity of human relationship. She was her parents' only child. sole claimant on their affection. So nobody got so much of attention from her parents. For the first time perhaps, Tarapada had shifted that from her. There was no end to her willfulness and obstinacy. She was a stubborn girl. Stubbornness and willfulness, prone to disobedience and lack of discipline. She had her own opinions about food, clothes and hairstyles, but there was no consistency in them. She used to nag a lot as well. Whenever she was invited out, her mother was terrified that she would make impossible demands over dress. A pampered child as well. If her hairstyle displeased her, to do and redo it made no difference and merely led to a tantrum. She would throw tantrums. So, she was characterized by willfulness and obstinacy. As two characters, Tarapada and Charushashi did not have any similarities. She was like this with everything, but if she was in a good mood, she was amenable to anything. What is the meaning of amenable? Write down, responsive and manageable. But if she was in a good mood, she was amenable to anything and would show excessive love for her mother, hugging her, kissing her, laughing in an unbalanced way. The girl was an enigma. The girl was a puzzle. But now her volatile feelings began to concentrate in fierce animosity, hatred towards Tarapada. Tarapada was her competitor and she caused exceptional trouble to her parents. She became stubborn, disobedient. At meals, she scowled and pushed her plate away, refused to eat. She would complain about the cooking. She used to nag a lot, slap the maid, physically abuse the maid as well, and object to everything. A cranky child. The more that Tarapada's accomplishments impressed her and others, the more angry she became. She would not admit that he had any virtues at all. She used to find faults in Tarapada. Undeniable evidence of them made her even more critical. She used to be critical of Tarapada and his achievements. On the night that Tarapada sang about Kush and love, Annapurna thought, wild animals can be tamed by music, so perhaps my daughter will soften. Impact of music on her daughter. But did that happen? When she asked, how did you like it, Charu? She gave no answer, merely tossed her head, implying I didn't like it at all and shall never like it. Complaining nature of Charu. Realizing that Charu was jealous, her mother stopped showing affection for Tarapada in front of her. After dark, when Charu had gone to bed after eating early, Annapurna would sit by the door of the cabin and Motilal Babu and Tarapada would sit outside, and at Annapurna's request, Tarapada would sing. With his singing, the goddess of the sleeping, darkened homes on the bank would sink into a trance, and Annapurna's heart swelled with love and appreciation. And this was genuine. But Charu would get up and shout tearfully and angrily, again obstinacy. Mother, I can't get to sleep with this noise. To her, the song, the melodious song, was mere noise, cacophony. She found it quite unbearable to be sent to bed on her own while her parents sat and listened to Tarapada singing. She did not want to share her parents with anybody. The natural fierceness of this fiery black-eyed girl fascinated Tarapada. Again, strangely, Tarapada liked this wildness in Charu. He would tell her stories, sing her songs, play her the flute, make great efforts to win her round, but with no success at all. Only in the afternoons, when he bathed in the Solin river, sporting his fair pure body in a swimming display worthy of a young water god, only then could she not help being attracted just a little bit. She would watch him then, but she didn't reveal her interest to anyone, and born actress that she was, carried on knitting a woolen scarf with apparent indifference. She pretended to not notice Tarapado's water sports. So there was some kind of a connection between the two, although they had different personalities. We'll stop here today, and in video number 2, we will finish the rest of the story. Till then, stay connected and do subscribe to our channel Study English with Momita and Shomi. Bye.